Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you can all hear me. Subhanallah. Yeah, so what I just did was to come on live. This is the first time we're using this on this platform. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I hope you can all hear me. So, subhanallah. Yeah, so what I just did was. So inshallah, Penab will be joining us soon, inshallah, and then we will continue with the class for today, Bismillah ta'ala. All right, Pen Abdul, if you can hear me, can you just signify with your hands up, then I can just add you immediately, inshallah. Okay, what I would do now is just to unmute everybody, and we add Pen Abdul. Assalamu alaikum, Pen Abdul.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah, Pen Abdul.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Alhamdulillah, we can hear you, and the video has been, mashallah.
Okay. Can you now see my video?
Yes, we can see your video. So just before you start, inshallah, let me just make a brief introduction, and then we continue with the class. We already have 104 participants already, inshallah.
All right, Bismillah.
All right, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Alhamdulillah, subhanallah, I'm so excited that we're all here today. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He make this beneficial. As you all know, we're going to be having classes that is going to last from now to inshallah before the end of Ramadan, or even after the Ramadan, inshallah. So what we're going to be discussing today, as you all know, the topic is about the virtues of seeking for knowledge. And Sheikh Ben Abdullah, as you're aware, we've also put some topics that we're going to be learning. For instance, we're going to be doing Aqidah and Tawheed. We're going to be doing Usul al-Fiqh. We're going to be having other topics as well. We're going to be discussing about gender roles. We're going to be discussing about how to recover from addiction. So we want to perhaps talk about the virtues of knowledge, as we are all here to listen. And each and every one of us that are here, I will encourage each and everybody to get a note to write down whatever they need to write down to learn from this, inshallah. So by tomorrow, or sorry, by Saturday, when we start the proper class, we all will be ready, inshallah, to continue, and may Allah make it easy for us all. So at this juncture, I will hand over to Pen Abdul, inshallah.
Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. First of all, we welcome you to Did You Know Academy. And I must say that this is a very noble initiative from my brother Nasiruddin Shuraim. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala strengthen you. Alhamdulillah, that he has lined up a series of important aspects of Islamic science, yani the knowledge of the deen that are important for every Muslim, at least know a little about these things. A little, as Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal would say, enough that will make you to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Allah should be worshipped. Today is the 29th day in the month of Sha'ban, 1441, after the historic hijrah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam from Mecca to Medina, which is equivalent to the 23rd day in the month of April, 2020, the Christian era. The discussion, as you've seen on the banner, is we're going to talk about the virtue of seeking for knowledge. Now, we will approach this from the aspect of understanding the importance of seeking for knowledge, the dangers inherent in being self-taught, yani you're just picking books, not learning from the scholars, not trying to clarify things that you don't understand. And we're going to probably discuss how to identify scholars, because when you talk about seeking for knowledge, then there is a knowledge giver. So you can't seek for knowledge without having a knowledge giver. So if you have a knowledge seeker, you have a knowledge giver. So yes, you identify yourself that yes, you are in need of certain knowledge, but then you have to seek for that knowledge from someone that has that knowledge. Now there is need for you to know who to take this knowledge from. And this can only be attained if you understand the correct methodology of identifying the real scholars who are legitimately supposed to give out knowledge. Then we need to understand the difference between an Islamic scholar and someone that Allah has blessed to preach to people. You can be a preacher without having been grounded with much knowledge. You can admonish people, you can warn them against Allah's disobedience, but that does not qualify one to be a scholar. Alaysa kadhalik. Now, then guidelines for taking knowledge. Then Ibn Taymiyyah in Majmu' al-Fatawa, he would say a lot of disputes arise when people don't actually understand the meaning of the concepts they are discussing. And this is a very important principle for us. that we should know the meaning of the concepts we're discussing. We're talking about knowledge. So there is need for us to understand what knowledge is. Well, generally, knowledge is, when you are familiar, it talks about familiarity, idrak, that is understanding. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask us in the Quran, وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا يَوْمُ الدِّينِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ يَوْمُ الدِّينِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ. Allah will ask you, and what will inform you. So knowledge is awareness. Knowledge is understanding of something. Idraku shay. When you understand something, it could be having information about something detailed. It could be a description of something. It could be a skill that one has acquired. All these comes under what knowledge is generally. But as Muslims, what is knowledge? Alhamdulillah, Sheikh Shuraim told me that you're going to be studying Usul al-Thalatha, an amazing pamphlet, yes, but which contains a very great knowledge that will, ensure the salvation of every one of us if we truly understand what Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab bin Sulaiman At-Taymi and Najdi, put down in that concise, little pamphlet. Now, in that book, he said, Al-ilmu ma'arifatullah wa ma'arifatu nabiyyi wa ma'arifatu din al-Islam bil adilla. He defined knowledge. He said, knowledge al-ilmu wa ma'arifatullah. Knowledge is knowing who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. Wa ma'arifatu nabiyhi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, knowing who his messenger, his prophet is. Yani knowing Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wa ma'arifatu din al-Islam, and knowing the religion of Islam bil adillah. Bil adillah. See, we're talking about knowledge. Now we say bil adillah, with evidence. With evidence. So knowledge is that which is backed by sound evidence. And that is why in Quran chapter 12, verse 108, since you can confirm some of these verses, please. Quran chapter 12, verse 108, if I'm not mistaken. In Surah to Yusuf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala telling us the methodology of seeking for knowledge in Islam. That knowledge that will come with certain virtues, that knowledge that will raise your status in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Qul hadhihi sabili ad'u ila Allah ala basiratin ana wa man ittaba'ani wa subhanallah wa ma ana min al-mushrikeen." Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Yani qul khitabun li nabiyhi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam." Allah speaking to his prophet via the revelation that Jibril alayhi salam comes down with. Allah says, "Say, hadhihi sabili, this is my path, yani the path of Islam, Sirat al-Mustaqim. Ad'u ila Allah, I call unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ala basiratin, yani ana wa man ittaba'ani, I and those who follow me." Aren't we the followers of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? We say yes, proudly so. We are followers of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ala basiratin, yani from an informed perspective, I and those who follow me. So you can't call onto Islam, you can't understand Islam without knowledge. And Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab has given us that concise definition of what knowledge is from Islamic point of view, from Islamic perspective. And the importance of seeking for knowledge in Islam cannot be overemphasized. The importance cannot be overemphasized. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لِذَنْبِكَ, and have knowledge. No. So Allah has made knowledge to come before action. And that is why Imam al-Bukhari, Muhammad bin Ismail, Imam Bukhari Sahib al-Sahih Bukhari, the author of Sahih Bukhari, rahmatullah alayh, in his kitab, in Sahih Bukhari, he has a chapter that he called, al-ilmu qabla al-qawli wal-amal. He said knowledge before speech and action. And this speaks volume of the fiqh, of the understanding that Imam Bukhari is a faqih. From the title, he said you have to seek for knowledge first before speaking and before acting. Then he now used the verse that I referenced, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي. Subhanallah. He said, say, no, not this verse, subhanallah. The verse, فَعَلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. No, have knowledge. So Allah started with knowledge. You should have knowledge. You should be informed, have knowledge. And know that there is none worthy of worship except Allah. La ilaha illallah. Then Allah said, seek for forgiveness for your sin and for the believers. So Imam Bukhari said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bada'a bil-ilm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala started with knowledge. That fa'alam, seek for knowledge before action. Astaghfir li dhanbik. Then seek for forgiveness for your sins. And seeking for forgiveness is an action. So knowledge before action. And that is why وَنَقَلَ مَهَنًا, from amongst the companions of Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, he said, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal is narrating that Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, he said, طلب العلم, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, طلب العلم أفضل الأعمال لمن صحت نيته. And Imam Ahmad, he said, seeking for knowledge, طلب العلم, seeking for knowledge, أفضل الأعمال, is the best of deeds, is the best of deeds. But for whom? لمن صحت نيته, for the one whose intention is good, for the one who has made his intention solely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Again, you can't seek for knowledge without making good your intention, because if your intention is not for the sake of Allah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he who seeks for knowledge, fi ma'na al-hadith, fi ma'na al-kalam, he who seeks for knowledge to argue with the scholars or, to impress upon the masses, that person will not make it to Jannah, because he has not sought for knowledge for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the basics for doing anything in Islam, and by and large, the basics for seeking for knowledge that will give you that virtuous status and rank in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that knowledge that is sought for the sake of Allah when your intention is sincerely made for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why Mahnan is said, Muhanna afwa, but he said, طلب العلم أفضل, طلب العلم أفضل الأعمال لمن صحت نيته, for he who has made good his intention. And and it was said to Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, you said, for the one, you made a conditional statement, yani you said it is the best of deeds, but for the one who makes good his intention. But are you sharing? Then what is that thing that can make one to make right his intention? He said, yanwi yatawadi fihi wa yanfi anhu al-jahl. He said, that sincerity of intention is that one should intend by his seeking for knowledge to be humble. Some people, when Allah bless them and Allah tests them with knowledge, they become arrogant. Iblis wasn't an ignorant person. Iblis was knowledgeable. But what made him to be an outcast was because he was arrogant. Now, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the most knowledgeable of all people. Is the most knowledgeable of all people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says again in Surah Yusuf, Quran chapter 12, I don't know the verse number now, but you can reference it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, wa fawqa, Allah is saying a revelation, wa fawqa kulli dhi ilmin alim, and above every knowledgeable person, there is someone that is more knowledgeable than him. There is someone that is more knowledgeable than him. Then you come to the Sahaba of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whose teacher was none other than Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the teacher of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was who? نزل به الروح الأمين على قلبك لتكون من المنذرين بلسان عربي مبين. الروح الأمين يعني the trustworthy Jibril alayhi salam. So Jibril was the teacher of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. وما نتنزل به وما نتنزل إلا بأمر ربك له ما بين أيدينا وما خلفنا وما بين ذلك in Surah Maryam. So Jibril was the one that taught the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam the recitation of the Quran. The interpretation of the verses was but revelation to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So Allah is the source of knowledge. Allah is Al-Alim. Allah is the all-knowing. Now, why am I saying all these things? Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, he said, Imam Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, he said, you should intend to be humble after acquiring knowledge. This is an instructive statement. You should intend by your knowledge humility. Very instructive statement. And secondly, وَيَنْفِي عَنْهُ الْجَهْلِ, and to eliminate ignorance by virtue of the knowledge that you have sought for. We all know, he who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed with knowledge cannot be compared to the one that is not knowledgeable. The one that knows is not the same as the one that knows not, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala repeatedly tells us this in the glorious Quran. It is common knowledge amongst all the Muslims. It is common knowledge amongst the Muslims that the first revelation that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the first revelation that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam received, is it clear? My network. All right. It is common knowledge that the first revelation that was brought to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Quran chapter 96, verses 1 to 5. You know, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had the habit of being in seclusion. حبب خلا حبب له الخلا. Yani the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, seclusion was made beloved for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he loved to be in seclusion. So in such seclusion, in the cave of Hira, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Jibril alayhi salam, came down with the first revelation. And you know, knowledge, we're talking about knowledge. You can't seek for knowledge without having to make sacrifice. The scholars will say, when you give your whole to knowledge, knowledge gives you a part of it. Imagine not giving anything of you to knowledge. You're not going to be knowledgeable. So the Prophet ﷺ was in that cave when Jibril ﷺ visited. And when Jibril visited, he said to Prophet ﷺ, the first revelation, Iqra, Iqra, read. The Prophet ﷺ said, Ma ana biqari. I'm not able to read. I don't know how to read. Because Nabi al-Ummi, the Prophet ﷺ was an unlettered prophet who could neither read nor write, but the most knowledgeable of all people. So reading and writing here, there is a wisdom behind the Prophet ﷺ being sent as an unlettered prophet. Yani, so the Prophet ﷺ, he said to Jibril alayhi salam, I am not of those who can read. Jibril pressed on the Prophet ﷺ. He said, Iqra, read. The Prophet ﷺ said, Ma ana biqari, I cannot read, 3 times. And he pressed upon the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet felt the pen. And he said, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaqa. Khalaqa al-insana min alaq. Iqra wa rabbuka al-akram. Alladhi allama bil-qalam. Alladhi allama bil-qalam. Allama al-insana ma lam ya'lam. He said, read in the name of your Lord who created. Read in the name of your Lord who created. So this is what? Tawheedur Rububiyyah. Tawheedur Rububiyyah. In the name of your Lord who created. لأن الله خلقنا ورزقنا ولم يتركنا هملا كما قال Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab. So he said, read in the name of Allah who created. Then the Prophet was told the nature of the creation of man. خلق الإنسان من علق. He has created man from a cloth. Then he said, Iqra, read. وَرَبُّكَ الْأَكْرَمُ. And your Lord is the most generous. الَّذِي Allama bil qalam, who was taught by the pen. Not Pen Abdul, not Pen Abdul, who was taught by the pen. Subhanallah. So imagine knowledge, reading and writing has been captured as the source of knowledge here. In these verses of the Quran, read, who was taught by the pen. Reading and writing have been captured as the source of knowledge. So this reading, scholars have to teach before someone can commit them into writing. If you pick a book that has been written, then you have to read it out to a scholar for the scholar to explain to you what the scholar that wrote it down meant. Am I communicating? So another point here to deduce from the short narrative that I just gave now regarding how Jibril alayhi salam came to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi salam is the fact that the Prophet didn't get it easy. So none of us is going to get knowledge easy. Look at the incidents, what ensued between Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and Jibril alayhi salam. So Imam Hafiz Mufassir Ibn Kathir in his tafsir of this verse, he said the first thing that was revealed of the Quran were these noble and blessed verses of the Quran that we just referenced now. Quran chapter 96 verses 1 to 5. And Ibn Kathir, he said they are the first mercy that Allah bestowed upon the servant. So knowledge is mercy. The first mercy that Allah bestowed upon the servants and the first bounty that Allah favored humanity with. Quran is the greatest rahmah, the greatest favor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed upon us. Through it, we know Allah. Through the Quran, we know the essence of our creation and we're able to live as humans. But without knowing what Quran entails, we'll become ignorant people. So by knowing Quran, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, through seeking for knowledge, man becomes honored. Man becomes noble. So the honor and the nobility of man is kept in his knowledge and not in his wealth. This is one of the virtues of seeking for knowledge. Remember, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, he said you have to seek for knowledge for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By and large, by your knowledge, you should be humble. By your knowledge, you should lift up ignorance from yourself. That should be the aim. When you lift up ignorance from yourself, you stand the chance of impacting that knowledge on other ignorant people that are not aware of that knowledge that Allah has blessed with. And this brings to mind the statement of Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, Hibrul Ummah, the greatest scholar of this Ummah. Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma, may Allah be pleased with him and his father, he said, whenever he stood up at night and is doing muraja into the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, trying to understand, getting the understanding of the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, whenever Allah opens up my mind to understanding a particular verse of the Quran, I wish the entire world gets to know of it. I wish the entire world gets to know of it. This is the passion of a scholar. He sought for knowledge. By that knowledge that Allah has blessed him with, he wished every other person is that knowledgeable. So he doesn't want to be pointed at as he's the only person that knows. No, he wants everyone to have that knowledge that Allah has bestowed upon him. I think I've written an article regarding this, that one of my inspirations of writing repeatedly is this statement of Ibn Abbas, that, whenever Allah opens up something new for him, he intends thereby to impact that knowledge to the general Muslim masses. And that is, how knowledge should be sought. So when you're sincere in seeking for knowledge, then one of the virtues is that honor and nobility becomes yours. Honor and nobility becomes yours. Alaysa kazalik. So knowledge can be intellectually driven. That is something that is in the mind. Knowledge can be spoken. Alaysa kazalik. So knowledge could be, one of the three: intellectual, spoken, or written. Alaysa kadhalik. So it's sometimes knowledge is what's in the mind. Sometimes knowledge is what's on the tongue, ala lisan. Sometimes knowledge is what is on the kutub, what is in the books that have been written down with the fingers. So you have three things that constitute generally what knowledge is. So knowledge could be intellectual, you sit down. That is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Inna fi khalqi samawati wal ardi waqtilafi al-layli wal nahari la ayatin li kulli al-albab الذين يذكرون الله قياما وقعودا وعلى جنوبهم ويتفكرون في خلق and to the end of the verse Allah said إن في خلق السماوات والأرض واختلاف الليل والنهار لآيات لأولي الألباب أولو النهى. It is called intellect in another verse chapter in the Quran. Allah said Ulul Nuha, the people of intellect. So it's when you look at the creations of Allah, then they open up the horizon for you to understand more about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the more you know Allah, the more you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the closer you get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the higher are your chances to make it to Jannah. So knowledge opens up the doors to all goodness. Alaysa kadhalik. Now, so nobility of man is kept in knowledge. So that knowledge could be intellectual, that knowledge could be spoken, that knowledge could be written. You can't write knowledge if it is not intellectually driven and not spoken. The written knowledge is a product of intellectual and spoken aspect of knowledge. So today, if someone writes down something, it's because knowledge has preceded that writing. Now, one of the pillars of belief in Qadar, it has 4 pillars. The belief in Qadar has 4 pillars. One of the pillars is that al-kitaba, that the first one is knowledge, al-ilm. Al-ilmullah sabiqa, the knowledge of Allah that has preceded everything. Then al-kitaba, yani what Allah has commanded to be written down in Allah al-Mahfuz, the preserved tablet. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says in Surah Al-Hadid, Quran chapter 7, verse 22, Ma ashaba min musibatin fil ardi wa la fi anfusikum illa fi kitabin min qabli an nabra'aha inna dhalika ala Allah yasir. Al-Muhalla Shahid, Allah said, Ma ashaba min musibatin fil ardi wa la fi anfusikum. There is no any calamity that befalls on the face of earth or in yourself إلا في كتاب من قبل أن نبرأها, except that it is in a book. Preserve that tablet, yani Allah al-Mahfuz, before its occurrence. And we have the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that the first thing that Allah created was the pen. And Allah asked the pen to write, and the pen asked, what should it write? And Allah asked it to write everything that is and would be till Qiyamah. So what am I trying to say here? The knowledge of Allah preceded the writing of everything in the preserved tablet. So because al-kitaba yadullu al-ilm. When something has been written, then it points to a knowledge first. So without having knowledge about something, you cannot be able to write it down. So all the books we see, the knowledge came first, the knowledge, oral knowledge, even the Quran was not compiled at the time of the Prophet ﷺ in the book form that we have today. But the Prophet instructed via the guidance of Jibril alayhi salam to insert each verse where it belongs. So the arrangement of the verses that you have like this as we have it now was the arrangement dictated by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam according to the revelation that was given to him by Jibril alayhi salam. That was why when a verse comes down, the Prophet will say, no, put this verse in that place. And the same way, when one of the last verses of the Quran was revealed, Jibril alayhi salam told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, insert it between this verse and that verse, insert this verse. So what am I saying? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam received it, spoken. That is why you have to sit in front of a scholar to seek for knowledge. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam received it in a spoken form. That is why Surah Al-Qiyamah, please don't worry with so many verses. That's how much we love Quran. We don't want to, we want always to restrict our words to Quran. If there is a point to be made, if we have a verse in the Quran, it's better we reference the verse than to go outside the Quran. And that is why I'm bothering you with a lot of verses. In Surah Al-Qiyamah, Quran chapter 75, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به إن علينا جمعه وقرآنه فإذا قرأناه فاتبع قرآنه ثم إن علينا بيانه. So in this verse, we know that the recitation was taught to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam by Jibril alayhi salam. So it was oral. So the first form of knowledge was oral. Then the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has his chief scribe secretary. In our secondary school Islamic studies, if we did Islamic studies in our secondary school, we remember this. Zayd bin Thabit, the chief scribe secretary of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then the Prophet will instruct him to write down what has been revealed, and they were writing them on parchments, on skins, on backs of trees, and generally it was compiled into a book form. The point I'm trying to make here is that knowledge, the written one, all the books we see. Oh, Ibn Taymiyyah has written this book. Oh, Muhammad bin Abu Bakr, Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyah has written this. Oh, Abul Faraj, Abdurrahman ibn Jawzi has written a lot of books. Like Hafiz Shamsuddin al-Dhahabi will say, he's written that he's never seen someone that has written so much like him. Like even Hafiz Shamsuddin, all these books that they wrote, they got the knowledge from oral point first. Okay, someone transmitted the knowledge. And that is why the chain of the narration, you say, Haddathana, or Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Sami'tu Rasulullah sallallahu, it was oral. So is now, something from intellectual insight, having understanding, then you can't start talking to people about things you don't understand. That is why I referenced the verse of Surah Yusuf, قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي. So عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ from an informed perspective. So intellectual, spoken, then written. That is why Wahb bin Munabbih, rahmatullah alayhi. Someone once asked Wahb bin Munabbih, one of the great Salaf, and he said, isn't La ilaha illallah the key to paradise? We're talking about knowledge now. Isn't La ilaha illallah the key to paradise? I hope I'm with you. Sheikh Shuraim.
We are listening, Habibi. MashaAllah. Yalla.
Okay. Because my network, I want to ensure that everything is now. Wahb bin Munabbih was asked, isn't La ilaha illallah the key to paradise? Now we're trying to unpack something, and I'm glad again, repeatedly, that we're going to have a sheikh that will teach you Usulu Thalatha. La ilaha illallah, yes, is the key to paradise. But is it that easy? Because you just say La ilaha illallah, you'll be admitted to paradise? Wahb bin Munabbih, he answered this questioner. He said, yes, La ilaha illallah is the key to paradise. But every key has ridges, what you call teeth. Every key has ridges. So the key to your bedroom is different from the key to your toilet. The key to the masjid is different from the key to the store inside the masjid, but they are all called keys. Alaysa kadhalik, and each key has its own reach. La ilaha illallah is the key, but you will not be able to open Darus Salam, to enter into Islam, or to even be able to get access to paradise if you are not holding the right key with the right ridges. So Wahb bin Munabbih said, if you come with the key that has the right ridges, the door will open for you. Yet, if you do not have the right ridges, the door will not open for you. How does this, what is the implication of this? Yes, if you don't have knowledge regarding La ilaha illallah, subhanallah, this is to tell us how important knowledge is. La ilaha illallah alone, we have what is known as the aqsam of La ilaha illallah. We have what is known as the anwa of La ilaha illallah. We have what are known as the shurut of La ilaha illallah. We have all these things that La ilaha illallah necessitated. We have the muqatada of La ilaha illallah. All these things, we have to know them before our La ilaha illallah can be. But we can't know them without seeking for knowledge. And imagine that the key to paradise is La ilaha illallah. but we don't know the aqsam of la ilaha illallah. We don't know the anwa of la ilaha illallah. We don't know the shurut, the 7 conditions of la ilaha illallah. We don't know the muqatada of la ilaha illallah, and so many things that la ilaha illallah entails. We don't know. We don't know what la ilaha illallah, what is affirmation and what is negation in la ilaha illallah. We don't know. We don't know what has been hidden in la ilaha illallah. When you say la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, 4 statements, but there are 6 in actual sense. So la ma'budan bihaqqin illallah. There is no deity worthy of worship in truth except Allah. So bihaqqin, that has been erased, but you have to assume it. You have to assume it. So you have to know this. Then illallah, huwa, alone, wahid, alone, ahad, huwa, alone, him alone. So these are some of the things. I'm just, telling us how important seeking for knowledge is. And that is why Wahab bin Munabbih, he said, no, if you come with the right key that has the right ridges, you will be able to open the door. Otherwise, the door will not open for you. وَالْعِلْمُ فِي الْإِسْلَامِ, ilm in knowledge, ilm in Islam precedes amal. It precedes amal. فَلَا عَمَلٌ إِلَّا بِعِلْمٍ. There is no action without knowledge. Don't act without knowledge. The verse I referenced, where Allah, Surah Al-Muhammad, or Surah Al-Qital, Surah Al-Muhammad, Quran chapter 40, is it 46? Jathiyah is 45, 46, Ahkam 47, Surah Al-Muhammad, verse 19. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, فَعَلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لِذَنْبِكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لِذَنْبِكَ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ. Hence, here we get to know that knowledge precedes what? Action, as Imam Bukhari, he brought this in his Sahih Bukhari, under the chapter that knowledge precedes speech and action. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has warned us. Now we're talking about virtues of knowledge. Let me bring out something here that you will understand of how virtuous knowledge is. Allah warned us against speaking without knowledge. Allah said, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا. Yes, Surah Al-Isra, Quran chapter 17, verse 36. Isra is 17. Maryam is 19. Surah Al-Kahf is 18. Yes, Isra, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِعِلْمٍ إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ كُلُّ أُولَئِكَ كَانَ عَنْهُ مَسْئُولًا. Each of these things will be questioned. What did Allah say? Do not say a word. Do not utter a word. Do not say anything. مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِعِلْمٍ, that which you have no knowledge of. And this is the danger we are faced with today on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, everywhere you go to, on WhatsApp. People keep debating on religious issues that they have no knowledge about. People keep talking about Islam that they have no knowledge about. And people keep saying, well, I think this is all right. Oh, I think this is haram. Oh, I think this and that. No, Allah has actually warned us. Allah said, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِعِلْمٌ إِنَّ السَّمْعَ وَالْبَصَرَ وَالْفُؤَادَ. Verily, as-sam'a, your hearing, wal-basara, your eyes, wal-fu'ada, your heart, kullu ulaika, each of these things, your ears, your eyes, your heart, kana an'u mas'ula. Wallahi, they will be questioned. Allah will question you regarding what you say without knowledge. Allah will question you regarding what you listen to without, without having any Sharia injunction as to what you are listening to. So you don't listen to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, or in Arabic language we say Bakr, Zaid, and Amr. So it's not Tom, Dick, and Harry as we have it in English. In Arabic, it's Bakr, Zaid, and Amr. So in Arabic language, they love to give example with Amr. It's a very common name in Arabic language. So also is Zaid, and Bakr follows. So Zaid, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made mention of Zaid in Surah Al-Azab. So the Arabs, I think this is just my own, I think the Arabs, because of that, they love to use example with that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran of the name of is the only companion that was mentioned by name in the glorious Quran, Zaid the companion of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the freed slave of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So Allah said, do not speak without knowledge. Now, what am I trying to bring out by referencing this verse? Which means the only people that Allah gave license to speak are the people of knowledge. If there is nothing that is pointing towards the virtue of knowledge, I think this verse is enough an inspiration to seek for knowledge. Because Allah says, وَلَا تَقْفُ مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِعِلْمٍ. Do not say that which you have not knowledge. So do not say anything. And that is why the hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the hadith of Abu Hurairah, I think in Sahih Bukhari, the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said, "Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyaqul khayran aw liyasmut." Whoever believes in Allah and the last day, let the person speak that which is right, or let him keep quiet. So as some to Najah, silence is salvation in the absence. Imam Malik, Imam Darul Hijra, Imam Malik bin Anas, radiyallahu anhu, rahmatullah alayh. Imam Malik bin Anas, the leader of the madhab of Malikiya, Imam Malik, someone came all the way from the east to ask him questions. And Imam Malik said, I don't know. I don't know. He asked him, I said, I don't know. Whenever he asked him regarding things, he said, I don't know. And it was said that in the morning when he mounted on his ride and he was going, and he said to Imam Malik, rahmatullah alayhi, he said, I left my city to travel a distance of more than a month to meet someone that I was told in my vicinity that is the most knowledgeable person on the face of earth, to give me fatwa. And all you can tell me is that you don't know. Imam Malik bin Anas, he said, please tell them that they have mistaken by conferring that accolade on me that I'm the most knowledgeable. Tell them that they have mistaken. It's not true. What they have said is not true. And that speaks volume of how humble the scholars are. And when you don't know, you ask. When you don't know, you ask. The hadith of Jibril alayhi salam, the hadith in Sahih Muslim, when Jibril alayhi salam came to Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu is saying that نحن جلوس عند الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم ذات يوم اطلع علينا رجل. Then he started describing that hadith of Imam Muslim, the hadith of Umar bin Khattab radiallahu anhu. It's known as hadith of Jibril. Whenever Jibril asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Akhbirni an al-Islam," the Prophet would tell him because he knows. "Akhbirni an al-Iman," the Prophet told him what it meant. "Akhbirni an al-Ihsan," the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him. But when he asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam about Yawm al-Qiyamah, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Mal mas'ulu anha bi'a'lama min as-sa'il." The one that is being asked does not know, just as the one that is asking is ignorant of the hour. يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها قل إنما علمها عند ربي لا يجليها لوقتها إلا هو ثقلت في السماوات والأرض إلا تأتيكم بغتة لا تأتيكم إلا بغتة. In Surah Al-A'raf, the third to the last page of Surah Al-A'raf, Allah tells us nobody knows it. So the Prophet was not ashamed to say to Jibril alayhi salam, you that is asking, me that is being asked, and the one that is asking doesn't know. Remember, the Prophet was sitting in the midst of his companions. As we learned from the beginning of the hadith, Umar said, "Nahnu julus in the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam." We are seated, alongside with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the Prophet was not ashamed that, oh, these are my companions, and a stranger is asking me, and to tell him that I don't know, they will say, "Wow, I'm ignorant." No, the Prophet said, "I don't know." And again, at the last part of the hadith, to show you that the companions learned quickly from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they could take the hint. Umar, when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Atadruna man as-sa'il," do you know who the questioner was? Umar radiallahu anhu said, "Allahu wa rasuluhu a'lam." Allah and his messenger knows best, know best. Which means Umar confessed is ignorance as to who was the questioner, who the questioner was. Umar was not ashamed to say, I don't know. So this is a key, to learning more. When you confess your ignorance, it opens up doors for you to learn more and more and more and more. And there is never an end to seeking for knowledge. Al-ilmu bahrun. Knowledge is an ocean that has no any shore. It is a continuous ocean that has no shore. So this speaks volume of the virtue of knowledge. In Sahih Muslim, the Prophet ﷺ said, "Man mata wa huwa ya'lam, man mata wa huwa ya'lamu annahu la ilaha illallah dakhala al-jannah." Conditional statement. Man mata, he who dies, wa huwa ya'lam. This is the virtue of knowledge. While he knows, is informed, he has the knowledge, annahu, that there is no deity, la ilaha illallah, that there is no deity worthy of being worshipped in the true sense of the word. Illallah, al-istithna, al-nafyu wal-ithbat. Illallah, la ilaha, al-nafyu, you have negated. Illallah, al-ithbat, you have now affirmed. There is no deity worthy of being worshipped, illallah, except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is knowledge. You have to seek for knowledge of what la ilaha illallah means. Dakhal al-jannah. Today you have a lot of people that will say la ilaha illallah, but they don't know the implication of la ilaha illallah. They don't know what la ilaha illallah necessitates. So you have to seek for knowledge of what la ilaha illallah necessitates before you can qualify, before you can be qualified to be under the people that the Prophet ﷺ said in this hadith of Sahih Muslim, "Man mata wa ya'lamu annahu la ilaha illallah dakhala al-jannah." Islam, this is common knowledge. Al-Islam yad'u ila talab al-ilm. Islam calls us to seek for knowledge. The Prophet ﷺ has made seeking for knowledge faridatun. He said it is faridatun ala kulli muslimin. Seeking for knowledge, we all know this. Seeking for knowledge is obligatory upon every Muslim. And that is why in Usul Thalatha that we're going to be taught, you see Sheikh Muhammad bin Abdul Wahab said, "I'lam rahimakallah, annahu yajibu ta'allumi thalathu masail." Then he will now tell you that it is compulsory for you to seek for knowledge regarding three things for every believing Muslim man and woman. So the Prophet ﷺ has made seeking for knowledge, an obligation upon every Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ has explained to us the virtue and the superiority of a scholar above those who are not knowledgeable. The Prophet ﷺ said, فضل العالم على العابد كفضل القمر على سائر الكواكب. In that narration, the Prophet ﷺ, the narration is Sahih Bukhari, Kitab al-Ilm. Look at Kitab al-Ilm. The entire chapter is talking about knowledge. Hadith number 10 in Kitab al-Ilm. Imam Bukhari brought this in Sahih Bukhari. The Prophet ﷺ explained, he said, فضل العالم, the superiority of a scholar, the one that is learned, al-abid, upon the one that worships Allah. You have someone that is very pious. He performs tahajjud, he reads a lot of the Quran, he gives out charity, he lowers his gaze, he doesn't lie, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. He's a abid. He worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a lot, but he's not that knowledgeable about the religion. Then you have someone that is knowledgeable and acts on his knowledge. Then the Prophet ﷺ said the difference between these two people is what? كَفَضْلِ الْقَمَرِ عَلَى سَائِرِ الْكَوَاكِبِ. It's like the superiority of the moon over every other heavenly body. Like the stars. The stars are very small. When you see them, look at the size of the moon. Look at how the moon is brightening the world. During the hours of the day is the sun. The hours of the night is the moon. So you can see the superiority of the moon over other heavenly body. That is the superiority of a scholar over the one that worships Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without having much knowledge. And the Prophet continued to give another example. وَأَنَّ الْعُلَمَاء وَرَثَةُ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ. And that the scholars, if there is nothing, again, marry it up with the first point I made. Marry this statement up with it to understand the virtue of the one that Allah has blessed with knowledge. The Prophet ﷺ said, وَأَنَّ الْعُلَمَاءَ, and that the scholars, verily, the scholars, they are the inheritors, warathatul anbiya. They are the inheritors of the prophets. وَأَنَّ الْأَنْبِيَا, and the prophets, you don't inherit anything from the scholars. You don't from the prophets. You don't inherit dinar from them. Wala dirhaman. You don't. It's not dollars. It's not naira. It's not estates that you inherit from prophets. They are the best of Allah's creations. Yet the only thing that they leave behind for people to inherit is knowledge. This speaks volume of knowledge. They don't leave behind money for people to inherit. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Warathul al, faman akhadahu akhada bihaddin wafir." The Prophet ﷺ said, the scholars are the heirs of the prophets, and the prophets do not leave dirham and dinar. It could be dollars, it could be pounds, it could be money today in our own currency terms. What they leave behind is knowledge. Their inheritance was knowledge. So whoever acquires knowledge has gained a great share. Imagine the Prophet ﷺ saying, you have gained a great share. What greatness then is that knowledge? And the Prophet ﷺ, to encourage us to seek for knowledge, the Prophet has informed us that anna talab al-ilm, that seeking for knowledge, tariqun ila al-jannah, is a path that leads to Jannah. Man salaka tariqan yatlubu fihi ilman aw yasluku fihi ilman sahala Allahu lahu tariqan ila al-jannah. Whoever takes a path and he has not traveled on that path except to seek for knowledge, the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah will make the path to Jannah easy for you. What is the other thing that you have amongst the virtue of seeking for knowledge? Ahlul ilm, the custodians of knowledge, the ones that Allah has blessed with knowledge. Ay asra un-nas idrakan lil haqqi wa imanan bihi. How do we understand this? Those that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed with knowledge, through knowledge, you find out that they are foremost in understanding the truth and in believing in it. So when the truth is being pushed out there, the people of knowledge will be able to recognize truth easily. And they will be the quickest, and as they are always the quickest in accepting and believing in the truth. And that is why when the Prophet ﷺ informed about his ascension, al-Isra wal-Miraj, Abu Jahl, in the narration, that Abu Jahl actually belied the Prophet ﷺ. Abu Jahl belied the Prophet ﷺ. Yet, Abu Bakr bin Abi Quhafa, he was not there when the Prophet was telling them that he traveled to Beit al-Maqdis. It's a distance of a month distance from Mecca, a month's journey from Mecca, and a month's journey back to Mecca from Beit al-Maqdis. Then the ascension from Beit al-Maqdis, that is al-Miraj, the ascension of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-Isra wal-Miraj, the ascension of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the heaven. A lot of people were having doubt, and Abu Jahl was seizing the opportunity to cast aspersion around the message of the Prophet ﷺ. It was said that Abu Jahl belied the Prophet when he heard it directly from the mouth of the Prophet ﷺ. But he informed Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr heard it from the mouth of Abu Jahl. He said, if it was said by the Prophet ﷺ, then I believe in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whatever the Prophet said is the truth. Why? Because Abu Bakr is radiallahu anhu is a knowledgeable person, and that is why we say wa ahlul ilm hum asra'un nas idrakan lil haqq wa imanan bihi. That is why you see them was-sabiquna al-awwaluna min al-muhajirin wal-ansar, those that are foremost in accepting Islam. You never find a better Muslim, better Muslims like them. So the person of knowledge is quickest in recognizing the truth and in believing in the truth. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Hajj, Quran chapter 22, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلِيَعْلَمَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ أَنَّهُ الْحَقُّ مِنْ رَبِّكَ فَيُؤْمِنُوا بِهِ وَتُخْبِتَ لَهُ قُلُوبُهُمْ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, those who have knowledge, and that those who have been given knowledge may know that this Quran is the truth from your Lord, so that they may believe therein, they may believe in the Quran, and their hearts may submit to it with humility. These are the people of knowledge. These are the people of knowledge. Another virtue of knowledge, and that is why the difficulty you find, you experience today when you tell people what Allah says and what the Prophet ﷺ says is as a result of lack of knowledge. When people are adequately informed about who Allah is, about who the Prophet of Allah is, about what Islam is, then it becomes easier for the teachers to impart knowledge, because they will face little resistance and people will tend to understand quickly. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ was surrounded with the best of humans. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, he said, when Allah looked into the hearts of all of his creations, Allah found the heart of Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to be the purest and the best of all hearts. Then Allah chose him for himself. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, I've forgotten, I think it's in Sahih Bukhari. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said this. Then he said, after that, Allah now looked into the hearts of people. The best of people were the companions of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then Allah chose them to be in the companionship of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that is why Ibn Qayyim, he said, Allah ya'alamu, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows where to place his yaj'al risalata. It knows where to place his risala, its message. It said with regards to the original recipient of the message, yani Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and those that will help in propagating the original message, and the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So they were knowledgeable. Why am I bringing this? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was speaking. The companions, though they were a handful, but the companions understood the message that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was calling on to. A lot of people had the message, but very few accepted the message. That is why don't ever wish that, oh, I wish I was there when the Prophet was alive. Muawiyah, he said, I think Udhayfah ibn Yaman, he said to someone, a tabi'i, that said, I wish I was there when the Prophet was alive. I would have hugged the Prophet, fi ma'na al-kalam. I would have done this for the Prophet. He said, keep quiet. What is the matter with the people that wish to be in an era that Allah has deliberately kept them away from? So Allah has deliberately kept it because thousands had the message directly. Abu Jahl had it direct from the Prophet ﷺ. He didn't believe. So those that believed in the Prophet ﷺ were quickest in understanding the truth and recognizing the truth. They never doubted the Prophet ﷺ. So the companions were foremost in that. The companions, they could understand the hints from Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. The Prophet could barely just hint it, and the companions will understand that, oh, the Prophet, when a particular woman came to the Prophet ﷺ and she said to the Prophet ﷺ, I want you to marry me. She brought herself to the Prophet ﷺ that the Prophet should marry her. The Prophet was not interested in marrying her. The Prophet just did like this. The Prophet lowered his gaze.
Did he do your face?
Naam?
How did the Prophet do?
The Prophet ﷺ lowered his gaze.
Yeah.
Can you see that?
We're not seeing your video actually.
Now the video is off?
Yes. Okay, khalas. We can see you now.
Oh, you can see me. Have you been seeing the video?
No.
Subhanallah. So the Prophet ﷺ actually, the Prophet lowered his gaze. The Prophet ﷺ lowered his gaze, and the companions could take the hint from Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. the companions could take the hint from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So a companion came to Prophet Muhammad, a companion there, and he said he's interested. He said he's interested, and that's how quick they could take hint from the message of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this speaks volume of the caliber of the companions that were surrounding the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how they could easily take hint from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is the virtue of, one of the virtues of seeking for knowledge. When you are surrounded with people that are knowledgeable, people that could understand the message, then it becomes, easier for the one that is extending the one that is impacting the knowledge to other people. So another virtue of the people of knowledge, is what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, please, can you see me? Sheikh Shurem, can you see me?
Yes, we can see you now. We can all see you. Alhamdulillah.
Now, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, إذا مات الإنسان انقطع عمله إلا من ثلاثة، إلا من صدقة جارية أو علم ينتفع به أو ولد صالح يدعو له. رواه Muslim. The hadith in Sahih Muslim, that if a man dies, انقطع عمله, his deeds get cut off. إلا من ثلاثة, except from three. A recurring sadaqah that you give, and a knowledge, a continuous knowledge, yani the knowledge that you left behind and people are benefiting from. Imagine we're reading Riyadh al-Salihin of Imam al-Nawawi, Abu Zakaria, Yahya bin Sharaf al-Nawawi. He wrote this how many hundreds years ago? Imagine us reading the books of Ibn Taymiyyah. Imagine us reading Sahih Bukhari. Imagine taking it back to the Muwatta of Imam Malik, which was the first book that was compiled with regards to the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Muwatta of Imam Malik. That knowledge, how many years ago? Thousands of years ago is gone, but that knowledge is still beneficial to the later generation, and that is the virtue of knowledge. Seek for knowledge. Be humble when Allah has bestowed that knowledge on you. Then impact that knowledge on people, and as long as people keep acting on the knowledge, inshallah, you're going to benefit from it. Imam Shafi'i, Muhammad bin Idris al-Shafi'i, Allah, Imam Shafi'i was a knowledgeable person at a very tender young age. He was brought to Imam Malik. He was a student of Imam Malik. Muhammad bin Idris al-Shafi'i was a student of Malik bin Anas radiyallahu anhu. Rahmatullah alayhi. Imam Shafi'i was brought to Imam Malik to seek for knowledge. Within a very short period of time, he had memorized the Muwatta of Imam Malik. Muwatta was the leading book in the entire Muslim world then. Harun al-Rashid wanted to make Muwatta the official constitution of the Muslims, but Imam Malik, in his humble gesture, he declined. So what am I saying? Imam Shafi'i was a knowledgeable individual. At a tender age, by the age of 17, he'd memorized the Quran, he'd memorized the Muwatta of Imam Malik, he'd memorized more than 1,000 poems. And he said, if poetry was not, a blemish of the scholars, he would have continued seeking, memorizing much of it. Imam Shafi'i said, Ta'allam, seek for knowledge. فَلَيْسَ الْمَرْءُ يُولَدُ عَالِمًا. Imam Shafi'i said, Ta'allam, seek for knowledge. فَلَيْسَ الْمَرْءُ يُولَدُ عَالِمًا. Acquire knowledge, for nobody was born learned. Nobody was born learned. Seek for knowledge. Whoever you see speaking up on knowledge, on issues, and you are mesmerized by his knowledge, Allah didn't created him. He didn't come to this world that knowledgeable. He sought for knowledge. So he said, تعلم فليس المرء يولد عالما. Then he said, رأيت العلم صاحبه كبير ولو ولدته آباؤه لعام. He said, I noticed, Imam Shafi'i, رأيت العلم. He said, I noticed that the one who acquires knowledge excel beyond his peers. وَلَوْ وَلَدَتُهُ أَبَاهُ لِأَمُ. Even if his parents gave birth to him in a very humble lineage, even if he comes from a very humble background, a very poor person with no social class, the moment he acquires knowledge, he becomes a king. He becomes a king. And that is why Sulaiman bin Abdul Malik, he said, Ya bunayya, he said to his children, oh my children, ta'allamul ilm, seek for knowledge. فَبِالْعَلْمُ يَشْرَفُ الْوَضِيعِ وَيَنْبُ الْخَامِلِ وَيَعْلُ الْأَرِقَاهُ عَلَى مَرَاتِبِ الْمُلُوكِ. He said, seek for knowledge. Seek for knowledge. فَبِالْعَلْمِ, because with knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honors the downtrodden. He's nobody. His father is nobody. But with knowledge, Allah elevates his status. And he said, the slave is taken to the status of the king, of the master. Why? With knowledge. And subhanallah, this statement of Sulaiman bin Abdul Malik just brings to mind, Yaqub, Qadi, Abu Yusuf, the famous student of Abu Hanifa, Nu'man bin Thabit, his famous student, Yaqub. He sought for knowledge. And once upon a time, he was an ordinary person, but he was in the palace of the kings. They want him to sit by their side. And that was the same thing with Abdullah ibn Abbas. Umar ibn Khattab will call on Abdullah ibn Abbas to come and sit by his side. He would say, where is the diver? He would refer to Abdullah ibn Abbas as the diver. He was knowledgeable. So Umar will call him to come and clarify certain issues of fiqh. And that was, the status of, Abdullah ibn Abbas. How many more minutes do we have? Shuraim, I've been speaking.
Yeah, above time already, so I just want to take question and answer. It was supposed to be done by 6.
Now, okay.
Maybe
6 is 6 in 20 minutes time. So quickly, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Ad-dunya mal'unatun, mal'unun ma fiha illa dhikrullah wa ma walahu wa 'alimun aw muta'allim." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that this word is cursed, just as everything in it, and the of Allah and what He likes, yes, of righteous deeds, and a scholar or a student, and a scholar and a student. So maybe because we are way behind the schedule already, maybe we can stop here and inshallah take knowledge, but take questions. But I want to end with the etiquettes of seeking for knowledge and how to identify the real scholars that are upon the correct manhaj. Muhammad bin Sirin, one of the great scholars in the Muqaddimah of Sahih Muslim, he said, "Inna hadha al-ilm dinun fanzuru amman takhudhuna dinakum." He said, "Wallahi, this religion, this knowledge of a thing is a matter of thing. So be careful who you take your knowledge from. Be careful who you take your knowledge from. Don't take your knowledge from anyone. Take your knowledge from the scholars of Sunnah that are upon the aqidah of the Salafus Salih, the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the generation that came after them and the next generation. And in Kitab al-Muwafaqa, Imam Shatibi, he said the one that is qualified to be a teacher is the one that practices what he teaches. He himself has been trained by a qualified scholar, and his students, they follow and pursue his footsteps. then this person is qualified to be a scholar. This person is qualified to be a scholar. So, because the companions say, we used to seek for knowledge alongside action. So they said, they said, we seek for knowledge. We used to seek for the knowledge of 10 verses of the Quran from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we will not increase on those 10 verses until we have acted upon what the verses contain. So we used to seek for knowledge, and we used to act with the knowledge ma'an, yani alongside. We seek for knowledge, then we act on the knowledge. So knowledge, it is called knowledge. It is called knowledge because it is meant to be acted upon. Now that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah As-Saf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu, lima taquluna ma la taf'alun. Oh, he who believe, lima taquluna ma la taf'alun. Why do you say that which you do not act on? Kabura maqtan inda Allah an taqulu ma la taf'alun. And in another place in Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أتأمرون الناس بالبر وتنسون أنفسكم وأنتم تتلون الكتاب أفلا تعقلون. That is the danger of acquiring knowledge without seeking for knowledge. So each time you seek for knowledge, then the burden is more on you to act on the knowledge. So one of the Arab poets, he said, فالعالم subhanallah, he said فالعالم بعلمه لم يعملا معذب من قبل العباد الوثن. Now, he said, فالعالم, the scholar, بعلمه لم يعملا, that he does not act upon, معذب من قبل عباد الوثن, he is being punished even before the ones that worship idols. So the scholar that acquired knowledge without acting on this knowledge, mu'adhabun min qabli ubadil wathan. Subhanallah. So this is very important. When you seek for knowledge, then the burden is on you to act on the knowledge that you have sought for. I think one of the poetry of Imam Bukhari is trying to, Imam Shafi is trying to flash through my memory. But if it doesn't come, then inshallah we're going to end here. Now, he said, subhanallah. Well, I've forgotten actually the poetry. Whatever we have said that is consistent with the truth, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward us. That which we have made a mistake in, may Allah forgive us. The important thing here is for us to seek for knowledge for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and not to compete with anyone, but to know more about Allah, to gain closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that at the end of the day, our knowledge will be a source of salvation for us on Yawm al-Qiyamah, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will be pleased with us. And you can see how, a lot of people will always knock at the doors of the scholars, the leaders, the kings, the rich ones. Everyone is always calling the scholars, the knowledgeable ones. Please, what did Islam say about this? I have money. He has money. He doesn't know how to give zakah. He has to call a scholar. He's a king. He doesn't know how to discharge the responsibilities on him. He has to call a scholar. So the scholar is, that is why Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, he said, people are more in need of knowledge than they are in need of food and water. Look at this instructive statement by Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal. He said, people are more in need of knowledge more than they are in need of water and food. Because he said you can survive without food for days. You can survive without drinking water for days, but you cannot survive a second without knowledge. As I'm speaking to you now, I have to employ knowledge. As you're listening, you have to employ knowledge. The way you dress, the way you eat, the way you look at things, the way you analyze things, the way you think, everything of your life is surrounded by knowledge. Everything is dependent on the knowledge that you need. And that is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Tibyanan likulli shay. Quran is an expository on everything. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, shalla la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Naam.
Jazakallah khairan, Pen Abdul. Alhamdulillah, it was a beautiful session, and we learned a lot. And subhanAllah, we ask Allah to give us the ability to be able to learn the deen sincerely and make this class beneficial. Just before we go to the question and answers, what I want to add is that, inshallah, for the next classes that will be coming, I would advise that you use your system to join the class so that you will not be having obstructions on your phone, because this is a proper class where you are learning the deen, and subhanAllah is a platform that we created for free and no one is paying anything, inshallah. So if you can do yourself a favor and just keep your phone aside. If you're going to use your phone to do the Zoom, what you should do to off all notification and focus on the class based light ta'ala. So we have had everything that Habibi Pen Abdul has talked about on the issue of seeking for knowledge. So we'll also go straight to the answers, questions and answers, inshallah. And then we end for today's session. And until Saturday, inshallah, we'll communicate via the WhatsApp group based light ta'ala. Pen Abdul, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Sheikh.
All right. So the first question we have here is how do we identify scholars and differentiate between the true and the false?
How to identify what? Scholars.
Yeah, and differentiate between the true and the false.
Well, the simple formula, like I said, Imam Shatibi in his kitab Al-Muwafaqa, Imam Shatibi, he said that a scholar can be identified by virtue of what he calls people to. One, he acts upon the knowledge that he has.
Right.
Then he is being taught by a qualified scholar. Then his students, you will see the traces of his knowledge in his students. Then you know that this is a truthful scholar. Now, this is just, a summarized form. Now, a scholar that is qualified to be learned from and to be taken from is the scholar that calls unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, how do you know this? Whenever a scholar is teaching and is always referring you back to Quran and Sunnah, not himself, you know that this scholar is on the path of truth. Whenever he calls you to Allah and his messenger. He references Quran and Sunnah according to correct understanding. Now, bear in mind, understand also that you have people that we quote the Quran and the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, but the question is, are they actually given the right interpretation? And that is where the issue of referencing come. A person will reach the status of scholarship where you have his contemporaries will affirm to the fact that, will attest to the fact that this person is a scholar. And you have them in the ummah. Sometimes there are very few in the ummah. Then you seek for not, they don't call to bid'ah. A true scholar does not call to bid'ah. A true scholar does not call to, what cannot be confirmed from Quran and Sunnah. When you ask him, why are we doing this? And it tells you that no, it's okay, it's all right for you to do it. I think, in the society we live in now, the true scholar of Islam will always take you back to the primary source of knowledge. If it cannot find evidence there, it takes you to the secondary source of knowledge, Quran and Sunnah. Then the secondary, you have the ijma, the consensus, the qiyas, and other things. Amalu al-Madina in the Malikiyah, it will take you to all of this. But the most important thing is that the true scholar, yes, this person is seeking for knowledge, and you can see the traces of knowledge in a student of knowledge and someone that is seeking for knowledge. When you listen to him previous years and you're listening to him now, you can see the traces of knowledge that, wow, this person has actually increased in his knowledge. And that is a trace of someone that is perpetually seeking for knowledge, because there is no end to seeking for knowledge. But whenever you see someone calling you to bid'ah, something that you cannot prove from Quran and Sunnah, or something that people, true scholars that are known to be upon the Sunnah, are questioning that thing that people are doing, and you see someone calling people to that thing, then know that that scholar is actually not completely on the path of Sunnah, and you have to be careful. And that is why this is not insulting the scholars. Al-Hafiz Shamsuddin al-Dhahabi, he wrote a compendium, the like of which has never been written, known as Siru Alam Nubala. It's about the biography and the history of all the people that came from the time of Prophet Muhammad from Prophet Muhammad down to the era of Al-Hafiz Shamsuddin Al-Dhabi, he spoke about all the good people and the bad people, the scholars, the Shiites, the Mu'tazilites, the whom, so that people will be careful and know who they take their knowledge from. Now,
mashallah, we have one important, very important question here. The sister or the brother said, Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Please, what are rulings online in Islam, and how can one say something but having a different meaning and taking that as an advantage? For instance, if someone asks me, what are you eating? And I reply, stone. Does this mean that I have lied, since I might meant to be, what kind of stupid question is that? Or I might also take it as, oh, I said stone, I didn't say I was eating stone. I just said stone. So how can you say I'm lying? Please clarify this for me.
إنما الأعمال بالنيات. The hadith of Umar ibn Khattab in Bukhari and Muslim. If your intention is, what's your business with what I'm eating? What's your business with what I'm eating? And you say stone, because it's none of your business what I'm eating. If that is your intention, trying to make him understand that it's not your business asking me what I'm eating, then Allahu Alam, that is not a lie. But if that is not what is intended, a Muslim, we have to go back to the fundamental. Now, the Prophet ﷺ does not even lie, even while joking. The Prophet is always truthful, even while joking. So I think we should avoid that. We should try as much as possible to speak the truth. What we don't want to answer, we can always shy away from. That's my methodology. If you ask me about something that I don't want to answer, well, I'm an expert in diverting attention, so I will divert. I don't know if some other people can be able to do, but I'm an expert in diverting attention. If you ask me questions to whose answers I don't want to give, I divert. I won't lie to you. For example, I'll just take you to another world entirely. Yeah.
All right, the next question is Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My question is, can someone be knowledgeable and still sin due to bad habits? How can one remedy this? If I get the question correctly, can you still be a knowledgeable person and perhaps sin, or perhaps you're addicted to a particular sin and then still be a knowledgeable person? How can you remedy this?
Yes, to reconcile between the two. The presence of knowledge. Shirem, is the screen on?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, the presence of knowledge does not mean the absence of sin. Please take this. The presence of knowledge does not equate the absence of sin. It only tells us that the knowledgeable one that acts upon his knowledge will sin less, but it will not be sinless. I hope this answers it. So a knowledgeable person can be sinful and addicted to a particular thing. What is upon him is to always remind himself with his knowledge that the danger that he is faced with, if he was to die sinning without repenting, is that he is going to be worse than someone that does not have the knowledge he has. And the hadith of Bukhari, I think Abu Hurairah, where the Prophet ﷺ said people will be gathered around a particular person on Yom al-Qiyamah, and he will be moving around the hellfire like a donkey in a grinding mill. And people will be saying, was this not the person that was asking us to fear Allah? He said, yes, I asked you to fear Allah, but I myself did not fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you can see. And again, the hadith of Abu Hurairah in Bukhari, the first set of people that will be questioned on Yom al-Qiyamah, one of the three categories, one of them is a scholar whom Allah has given knowledge, and he only taught the knowledge so that people will call him a scholar, but really he didn't act upon his knowledge, he didn't fear Allah with his knowledge, then he will be thrown headlong into hellfire. So I think one of the ways to remedy this is for the scholar or the learned individual to keep reminding himself of the consequences of not acting upon your knowledge, like what I quoted, I think it's in the Nuniyah of Ibn al-Qayyim, where he said, فَالْعَالِمْ بِعِلْمِهِ لَمْ يَعْمَلًا مُعَذَّبٌ قَبْلَ عُبَّادِ الْوَثَنِ. The scholar with his knowledge that he did not act upon will be punished even before the worshippers of idols. So one should remind himself, لِمَ تَقُولُونَ مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ كَبُرَ مَقْتًا عِنْدَ اللَّهِ أَن تَقُولُوا مَا لَا تَفْعَلُونَ. So imagine Allah hating what you're doing. So imagine you reminding yourself that I don't want to be, I don't want to fall into the wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then let me train myself so you can seek for Allah's forgiveness. And that is why even the people that are going to make it to Jannah are not necessarily people that do not sin, but they are sinful people that seek for Allah's forgiveness. They are sinful people whose knowledge now makes them to remember Allah. And by remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they now sought for Allah's forgiveness. وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا فَعَلُوا فَاحِشَةً أَوْ ظَلَمُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ ذكروا الله فاستغفروا لذنوبهم ومن يغفر الذنوب إلا الله ولم يصروا على ما فعلوا وهم يعلمون. These are the people who, when they commit al-fahsha, when they commit zina, إذا فعلوا فاحشة, foremost on the list of al-fahsha is zina. When they commit zina, ذكروا الله, they remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanallah. Allah said, لا تقربوا zina. How did I get myself to committing zina? Thereafter, they seek for Allah's forgiveness for their sin. Who and who is there besides Allah that forgives sins? And they do not go back, and they do not go back to the sin that they have committed while they know. So this is, in short, is to, not as an encouragement, but to tell you that, yes, even those that will make it to Jannah, they will be guilty of sins, but they are always quick in seeking for Allah's forgiveness. And that is why in Quran chapter 3, verse 133, Allah said, وَسَارِعُوا إِلَى مَغْفِرَةٍ مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَجَنَّةٍ عَرْضُهَا السَّمَاوَاتُ وَالْأَرْضُ وَأَعِدَّتْ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ فِي السَّرَاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ وَبَشِّرِ وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ وَالَّذِينَ إِذَا فَعَلُوا فَاحِشَةً إِلَى آخِرِ الْآيَةِ. So these are the people that are always outracing one another and seeking for Allah's forgiveness. Now,
all right. Someone asks, can an online class be regarded as sitting in front of a scholar, as this is part of the etiquette of knowledge?
Yes and no. If that is the means that is available to you, imagine you want to seek for knowledge. Look at what we're using today, Zoom. You want to seek for knowledge, and this is the time Allah has given to you. And in your vicinity, there is no anyone close to you that you can seek for this knowledge from. And you really want to seek for knowledge. And now, for example, you are locked down. You can't even move. And now an opportunity provides itself. Remember, you are spending your money on data. You are giving your time to sit down from 4 o'clock. 4:30, we started this class. You have seated down to listen. You have been sitting down. You have, sacrificed your time, your money in buying data and in paying attention, because this is what you can have now. In Surah An-Nisa, Allah says, "Fattaqullah mastata'tum," and fear Allah according to your ability. Fear Allah according to your ability. So this is the principle that you're going to have here. This is the, it is darura. The actual way of seeking for knowledge is to stand up to go and seek for knowledge. But ad-darura yuqaddaru biqadariha. This is an offshoot of a legal maxim in qawaid al-fiqhiyya. Ad-darurat tubihu al-mahdhurat. Necessity, permissibility makes what is ordinarily not allowed to become permissible. So with that, the necessity now, you have to now use your ability in accordance with the necessity that you find yourself in. So ad-darura tuqaddaru biqadariha. Now, this is what we can be able to do to learn via this. You have your kutub, that so many kutub that scholars can teach you, renowned scholars, respected scholars of correct aqidah. Then you're using this, then by all means, it is dhalika fadlullah. This is from the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, min fadlillah. This is from amongst the bounties of Allah that He has given to this generation. So by all means, inshallah, if you do it sincerely and you spend your time seeking for this knowledge, and I can tell you, a lot of us today, we seek for knowledge via via this platform today, because you'll find that your scholar is in Kano, your scholar is in Sokoto, your scholar is in Meduguri, is in Mina, and you want to learn this particular book, you cannot be able to travel down because of the circumstances that we find ourselves in, then you use this platform, and that is you seeking for knowledge, inshallah. Now, Sheikh Shuraim.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, now, so the next question before we go, inshallah, is how do I know if I'm doing things for the sake of Allah or for people?
Well, this is one of the toughest things ever. Like one of the Salaf said, he said, I've never fought against something that is as difficult as my intention. He said, each time I strive to make my intention sincere for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Riyah manifests itself in another way. Satan now comes to me in another way. So it is something that you will keep training yourself on until you meet Allah. That is the simple thing I can say, until you find yourself in Jannah. Because each time, but now, when the praises of people do not affect you, and if the people say, wow, this guy is a very nice person, is a very pious person, is an intellectual, is this, when their praises do not affect you and their condemnation do not deter you from what you're doing, then suffice to say that, alhamdulillah, your intention is close to the intention of people that are doing it for the sake of Allah. You can't say for sure, but alhamdulillah, it's a sign that you're doing it for the sake of Allah. When people praise you, but it doesn't add anything to you. Their praises do not add anything to you. When people condemn you, their condemnation do not deter you from doing anything, then it is an indication that your intention is for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But when people praise you, yes, it is natural sometimes when they say, wow, you're doing a wonderful job and you feel happy. It is not riyah. A companion came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, he feels that a part of his reward will be gone. And when people praise him, naturally he feels happy. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, fi ma'na al-hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no, that is the bushara that Allah gives to the believers in this world. Even before you die, Allah sends people to appreciate the things you have been doing before. Finally, they tell you, wa kana sa'yukum mashkura in Jannah. Verily, your endeavors are well appreciated. So when people praise you, yeah, sometimes, alhamdulillah, but you do not hanker for the praise. That is it. Do not seek for the praises of people. So if you want to know that you are actually striving to be on the path of Allah, then constantly you are checking your intention. One, before you start an action, do it for the sake of Allah. Two, while doing the deed, do it for the sake of Allah. Three, after you have completed the action, seek for Allah's acceptance for that deed. And that is why Dawood bin Abi Hind, it was said that he fasted for 20 years or more than, and his wife did not know that he was fasting the voluntary fast. He will go out in the morning, take his food with him, then the wife will prepare food for him. He will go out in the morning with the food, give the food out in sadaqah. He comes back in the evening while the food is already ready. He breaks his fast. Subhanallah. And that is how they were very particular in hiding their good deeds. Because Allah said, in tubudu sadaqatukum, if you give out your sadaqah in public, it is good. But if you hide it, it is better for you. Now, the issue of doing it in public is that it actually exposes you to satanic attack, because now people know you have done it. But when you do it for the sake of Allah, Jabir is disturbing me, ya salam. When you do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then when you hide it, there are little chances that people will get to know that you do it. So you are safe. You are safer when people don't know that you've done a righteous deed. But when people know that you have done it, even if you do it for the sake of Allah, then you are more exposed to the onslaught of satanic whispering that will, at the end of the day, make your deed to be spoiled. So you always have to seek for Allah's assistance, that, Ya Allah, makes sincere. And the Prophet ﷺ has taught us a dua against riyah. Wherein the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Subhanallah, this dua has just escaped my, inshallah, Shirem will share it with you, the dua against riyah. The Prophet ﷺ اللهم إني أعوذ بك أن أشرك بك شيئا أعلم وما لا نعلم. That, Ya Allah, I seek refuge in you from committing shirk against you of the dates that I know and those that I do not know. This is a dua against Riyah. Now, Ya Sheikh. Now, Sheikh Shreem, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I didn't remove the mute. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you, so we have answered now.
Right now, we just have some very good, important questions, maybe 3, and then maybe you answer very fast, and then we end the live session, inshallah, for today.
All
right, so the first one is, how can someone deal with misinformation on the deen, especially on social media, as it is part of our life now? You know, we have a lot of YouTube sheikhs. How can someone deal with information on the deen, especially on social media, as it is part of our life now? You know, we have a lot of YouTube sheikhs.
I think one of the best ways to do that first is don't take knowledge from any preacher or a scholar whose pedigree you don't know. I think that is the safest way. Before now, it was very easy when there was no social media. But now that you cannot control what people get to listen to and people go to YouTube, I think the safest way is if you have a scholar whose knowledge and aqidah, you know, is sound, and you have asked some other scholars and they tell you, oh, this person is upon the correct aqidah and what he's teaching is right, then you can now take your knowledge comfortably from him. And better more, take your knowledge from people whose contact you have. So that when they say things that you don't understand, you can always contact them to explain. And if you are not convinced, then go to another person that you feel has better knowledge or is of equal to him or better understanding of that topic to clarify. Don't even tell him that I've spoken with so sheikh or I had. Please don't always come across like that. Don't say, well, I was watching YouTube, then Sheikh so and so said this. Don't mention the name of the sheikh. Just say, I had someone saying this. Please, I need more clarification on it. Because when you mention the name of a particular sheikh, the person you might be asking might not be in good terms with that sheikh. Then you will be clouded and you will not judge right. So unless it's very, very fearful of Allah. So the best thing always is you say, please, sheikh, I need a clarification on this topic. What does Allah say or Islam say regarding this issue? You already know what the other sheikh said or what you had on YouTube. Because I think the best way is to always confirm whatever you hear from another person on YouTube. It's to always confirm it with someone whose knowledge I think is better. And don't do fatwa shopping. You know what is called fatwa shopping? Oh, sheikh, what is the fatwa on this issue? We say, well, this issue is haram according to Quran and Sunnah. Well, because you want to do it, then you call another sheikh who you know that is going to give you the fatwa that, you know, will suit you. You know, you have the modernist shuyukh, you have sheikhs that are feel cool shuyukh, maybe probably they will give you fatwa to please you. Oh, you want to do this thing, you want to invest in a particular business that is haram, but he knows that you want to invest in it. He tells you that, you know, when you invest in it, you can be given sadaqah, you know, it gives you fatwa. And that is another talk entirely for another thing, where Sheikh Uthaymin said, there are 3 types of scholars. Sheikh Muhammad bin Salih al-Uthaymin, rahmatullah alayhi, he said there are 3 types of scholars. Alimud dawla, alimud deen, alimul ummah. You have the scholar of the state. It looks at the state, yani the government. What is the government of the day doing? So it gives fatwa that will be consistent with what the government of the day is upon. So the president will call him for a dinner, the governor will call him for dinner, because he's giving fatwa that is consistent with what the government of the day is doing. So you have Sheikh Uthaymin said, this is alim al-dawla. It's not for the sake of Allah. Then you have alim al-ummah, the scholar of the masses. It looks at the general people in this gathering. A lot of the sisters that are seated in my lecture, they don't wear hijab. So I'm going to soften, so I'm going to be very soft when it comes to the issue of hijab. so that I'm afraid if I bring out the issue of hijab the way it's supposed to be discussed, a lot of these sisters that are enjoying my lecture will stop listening to me. This is alim al-ummah. It's not for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it looks at the direction that people are following, then it gives fatwa consistent with the mindset of the people. And you have a lot of this type of people today. So they give you fatwa, what Islam says this thing is haram. But because a lot of Muslims are doing it, and because if you say it's haram, the Western world are going to look at you as a backward Muslim, then you're now soft pedal. That is a scholar. And the Prophet ﷺ said, what I fear most for you, more than the fear of Dajjal for you, is evil scholars. Wallahi lazim. The Prophet ﷺ, I fear for you more the evil scholars. So you have this. Jabir, mother. Then he said, I have, I fear for you evil scholars. I fear for you evil scholars. So the third scholar is the scholar that is for the deen. What is this scholar for the deen? This scholar is the one that when he's asked about to give fatwa, it looks at the Quran, it looks at the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He understands what the Quran says and what the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Is qualified to give fatwa. Then he gives fatwa, regardless of whether that fatwa affects the president, whether that fatwa affects the governor, or whether the fatwa affects 1 million Muslims in Nigeria. Whether what they are doing is haram, and you need to tell them that it is haram. He only speaks, but it looks at he employs wisdom in relating that fatwa. That is the scholar of the day. He does not change the words of Allah or twist fatwa. You know, some people today, people say, yeah, well, the way why I like so and so person, is because his nature of fatwa, they are very soft. That is someone taking your religion away from you, for example, because he keeps telling you what scholars said is haram. He tells you that no, these people are too extreme. They are very harsh. No, it's an issue of fiqh. No. When Allah says something is haram, that thing is haram. Nobody can veto the hukum of Allah. What the scholars of fiqh and what the scholars of the mujtahidun and the muftis will do, the scholars that give fatwa, they now look at the circumstance of that individual, the society, and they now employ the tools of Sharia to tell you that this is the ruling relevant to the circumstances that this individual find themselves in, because they are going to employ fattaqullah mastata'tum. Now,
MashaAllah, tabarakallah, bin Abdullah. I think we will have to end here, inshallah. Perhaps if you have another time, we will invite you and then we'll continue to ask you more questions on seeking for knowledge, inshallah.
Accepted from us. Thank you very much. Did you know Academy? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless it. May Allah inspire all of us to seek for beneficial knowledge, and may Allah grant us humility and sincerity while seeking for knowledge. And above all, may Allah make it easy for us to practice on whatever we have learned of knowledge. And may Allah make us amongst the beacons of light that will shine the light of Islam, so that people will see us and emulate our good deeds and see the beauty of Islam. May Allah bless you, Sheikh Shuraim, and all the Muslims that participate in this our introductory class. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Habibi. You can go away now. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Hayakallah.
Sending me away, subhanallah, I can go away.
Not you, Sheikh. Afwan. Jazakallah
Okay,
khair,
let me
Habibi.
go away. Let me go
No,
away.
don't go away. Hayakallah, Habibi. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Alhamdulillah. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the privilege, and we've done the introduction class. So by Allah's grace, inshallah, tomorrow or on Saturday, inshallah, we'll continue with the rest class. So inshallah, what I want you all to do, inshallah, just give me a feedback. So I'm just going to on the WhatsApp group. If you haven't been added to the WhatsApp group, do message me so that I will add you to the WhatsApp group, inshallah. And also you can message me via Instagram or via any means that you can reach me, inshallah, and then we can add you all. So the next class is going to be on Aqidah and Tawheed, that will be taken by Sheikh Asim Al Hakim, and this will be on Saturday and Sunday, inshallah, by Sheikh Asim Al Hakim on Saturday and Sunday, inshallah. And it's going to take place by 2:30, inshallah, Nigerian time 2:30, and Saudi time 4:30, inshallah. So make sure you come, you join the class, or we'll communicate each and everything to you via the WhatsApp, inshallah. So I'll get a lot of feedbacks from you, inshallah, from the WhatsApp group, which I will open very soon, and we'll talk more. May Allah make this beneficial. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.